I mean, I didn't expect it. I'll tell you that. I was chilling. I'm in my living room playing some PS5. I get an email, and I'm like, okay, what's this from City? I thought it was going to be another one of them junk things telling me that there's going to be like a meet and greet or something. And no, it is that Olaf Melberg has been fired. And I get up and I scream. I'm not even joking. Jump out of the ottoman I'm sitting on, and I go crazy because I didn't expect this to happen. Hell, he did media and led training and then got fired, which is very, very, very peculiar. Like, really peculiar. Like, that's really weird. But yeah, I guess, it's odd. But yeah, so Olaf Melberg is no longer the head coach of St. Louis City SC. He will probably be going back to Stockholm, Sweden, maybe to Brommapojkarna. We'll see what happens, but I doubt City fans will care about what happens to Olaf. Looking at the team right now, announced interim head coach is the old City 2 head coach, David Critsley. Critchley is the former City 2 head coach. They're saying he's especially going to be he's going to be the interim, so no announcement of a full new head coach yet. If we look at David Critchley, of course, he's led City 2 to a second best record in the MLS Next Pro Western Conference. He was one of the first hires in 2021. He played an instrument role in the success of the academy program, coaching the U16 team in 2022 and the U17s in 2023. In his role, he coached players like Mai Joer, Caden Glover, and Tyson Pierce. According to Lutz, David's been a key part of growth of our academy, and his deep understanding of the club's values and culture makes him the perfect person to lead City 2. So he's from Liverpool, came to the U.S. in 2009 to play collegiate soccer at Oklahoma Wesleyan University, or OWU. Following his playing career, he joined the coaching staff there. He led the team's development, training, and exercise programs. In 2013, he was appointed director of coaching for Northeast Oklahoma Football Club. And after 2 years, he joined USL Championship team Tulsa Soccer Club as staff coach. Prior to his roles in St. Louis City, he was a technical director at Lou Fuse Athletic. So he has a long history of soccer, but also soccer leadership. And with City 2, he's been amazing. If we look at St. Louis City 2, they have, again, they've been amazing. They just won 6-3 in their last bout. Again, Mai Joer scored a whopping 4 goals in that game, a double brace, while McSorley got 3. But in the table, they sit third in the Western Conference with 20 points, and that makes them also fifth in the MLS Next Pro out of 29 teams. So you're talking about the top echelon of MLS Next Pro teams led by David Critsley, who is now going to be the head coach. You look at fixtures, last couple games for David Critsley: 6-3 win versus Portland, 3-2 win versus Minnesota 2, 4-0 loss versus the Town FC, 3-1 win versus Houston, 4-1 loss, 3-1 loss, and 1-0 loss to Tacoma, Ventura, and Colorado. They won on pens to Austin. Then they beat Kansas City twice, beat North Texas, lost to North Texas once, and that's going back to next year when they lost the playoffs. So far, their record currently sits at 6 wins, 1 draw, and 4 losses. At least one of the things that I think fans will be excited about is that he plays exciting football. The lineup that he kind of put out is more of a 4-2-3-1 that we've seen so far. Is kind of what I'm seeing from his lineups right now is kind of a 4-3 or a 4-2-3-1. I got you, Jeremy. You get that going. I'll send it to you on X, okay? That's what I'm on right now. I just sent it to you on X. So, I mean, this is crazy. Some people saying it's the wrong decision. Will Branton, he says he's saying the absolute wrong decision. But again, let's look at the season for Olaf Melberg and the games that he played, right? First 2 games, it was his 0-0 draw, okay, versus Colorado and San Diego, respectively. Then you win 2 in a row versus the LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders. So you start 2-0, one of the best teams, right? And then you go to, what's up, Jeremy?
Hey, Charlie. How you doing?
You're,
still muted?
Or are you? Am I just on the wrong headphones?
No, I could be muted.
There you go. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I hear you.
Hi,
So
Charlie,
you start off the season.
Man?
You started the season 2-0. Then you lose 4 straight to Philadelphia, Austin, Sporting Kansas City, and Columbus. Then you draw 2 versus the Vancouver Whitecaps and LAFC. You lose versus the Sounders. You win versus Omaha in the Open Cup. You lose versus San Diego. You draw Sporting. You lose versus Minnesota. You lose versus Minnesota again in the Open Cup, and you lose versus the Rapids. Again, this is peculiar because he led media and training. He answered questions, and then they fired him at 6:54 p.m. That's after the workday ends. You're not getting emails out at that time. That's like after you've gone home, you're eating dinner and you're settling in for like a night watching movies with the wife at that point. That is not a workday schedule. That's kind of peculiar. MG says City 2 coach is going to coach the team for how long? So we don't know. Again, interim is the kind of term that they use when they say we don't know, or he's trying to being a bridge coach. But again, you saw John Hackworth do really well in that place of an interim, and then they didn't hire him. So I could easily see him being the coach for the rest of the season and then finding another guy, but depends on his performance, because David Critsley is a guy that can win. Like Lutz has talked very highly of him. He's worked with younger players. I mean, when you talk about what they wanted to do, David Critsley makes more sense to be a head coach than Olaf Melberg ever did. Because you talk about wanting to get young players moving up and try to highlight them. Well, he's worked with Tyson Pierce, Caden Glover, Mai Joer since they were 16 and 17-year-olds in the academy, right? So what better guy to introduce some youth into this roster than David? I mean, that makes a ton of sense, in my opinion. I think it's a good move.
It's an interesting one, Charlie. I mean, this is a guy who has had experience at multiple levels, not just with City 2. He led the U16s. He led the U17s. He's had results with the youth wherever he's gone. It does kind of ask the question, is, to your point, you know, they touted Olaf as being this guy who's a developmental genius from Brommapojkarna over in Sweden, but we never saw that. Perhaps that's what Critchley will be. The word that really sticks out to me is caretaker manager.
That's what they said on the email.
Yeah, the verbiage is caretaker. And so when I think of a caretaker, that could mean rest of the season. It could mean 3, 4, 5 games. And what I'm going to say, and the reason I say that, Charlie, and I'm just going to use Manchester United as an example. Manchester United this past season had started the season with Erik ten Hag. When they fired Ten Hag, they appointed Ruud van Nistelrooy caretaker manager. And then 4, 5, 6 games later, they announced Ruben Amorim can come in and he takes over as the permanent first-team head coach.
Yeah. So what also makes me think that this may not be a long-term thing is because John Hackworth took over City 2. You're not talking about the City 2 assistant coach with City 2.
Well, but it raises questions about, did they offer Hack the opportunity to come back to the first team, or did they have to go this route because they knew how bad it was going to look if they went right back to Hack? I mean, either way, it doesn't look
you
great,
had Baggio Husidic, Tim Kelly is the goalkeeper coach, Peter Alston, Nelson Hernandez, Zach Hopkins, Tommy Driscoll. Like, those are all guys in power in City 2 that you could have appointed, but you choose John Hackworth to take over on that development side in City 2, which makes you think, I mean, because John Hackworth has been vocal about he likes the position he was in before he started coaching. He likes the director of player development role that he's in, right? He said he likes that role. He likes to kind of help the players, the younger guys. And this could be that he likes that role so much he wants to coach a team again, and that could be City 2. Or it could be that this is just a filler role until Critchley goes back down and they hire a new coach, right?
Right. Well, but I mean, to your point, Baggio Husidic is joining the first team, so he's
Oh.
coming up. He's joining the first team coaching staff, because you also assume that when Olaf goes, so does Rudik Valentich.
Valentich would be with him. I mean that they are attached at the hip at that point.
So those two have to be gone. So they're going to pull up Husidic. Probably butchering that last name because the accents on it. But man, it's going to be the biggest thing is, what are we doing system-wise now? Are we sticking with the back three? Are we going back to a 4-2-3-1? Those are massive questions. Is it a shift in vision? What does this do for the summer transfer window now?
We'll see.
Ton of impact here.
Just for example, last game versus Portland, they had a 4-2-3-1. City 2 did. And then before Portland, they played a 4-2-3-1 versus Minnesota 2.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, probably they played a 3-4-3. So he seems open to kind of go with multiple structures there. And I'm excited for it, because that wingback position was just not working, because again, Olaf is just trying to fit square pegs into circle holes, right? You're trying to put a guy like Conrad Vollum on the wing, and that's good. That's good. And then you move him to the midfield sometimes, and it's like, oh, that's a little confusing. And you put a Keel Watts on the wing, and that's like, oh, that's a little weird. Then you put him at the 6, and you're like, that's even weirder. Hold on, what's going on here? And then you put Giannis Horn in the midfield instead of at the wing back, and you're like, okay, what is happening? And then you start Josh Yarrow for 8 straight games, and you're like, what is going on? And yeah, like there was a carousel of course, the injuries. Like Lutz talked about the injuries. He said, so here, I'll say the exact quote is: "The decision to part ways with Olaf goes beyond just results. We've analyzed the team performance across a number of factors, including the team's need to execute a style of play that led to the team's initial success and been part of our DNA for 4 years. As a club, we have certain standards we need to meet, and believe a coaching change was necessary to improve our overall performance and return to a winning culture." He said, "We understand." This is Diego Gigliani saying this. He said, "We understood that it took some time for Olaf to become acclimated to Major League Soccer. We would certainly acknowledge injuries made his job difficult, but we simply could not continue down this path." So they said enough is enough. They cut their losses and say, we made this, we made a mistake. And you're saying we made a mistake, and you're kind of finally cutting your losses. And that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, so just running down some final numbers, and Charlie, you may have already gone over I know you probably mentioned the points per game at 0.73. At the time of his sacking, City is on pace for 25 projected points. We've been outscored 20-11. We've been outshot 237 to 134 or 174. So about a 60 shot deficit there. When you talk about our points, right? So where are we in points now compared to where we should be? We are roughly, and this is just using the metric of expected points based on the statistics, we are 7.19 points below where we should be because of situations where we've had leads or performances that we've given away points. I believe the last count I had was we had already surrendered 10 points from winning positions this season. That was before we took the trip to Colorado and before the Open Cup game against Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to go into some stats real quick for City 2. So again, this is David Critsley is head coach of City 2. This is this year so far. City stands 12th out of 29 teams in FOTMOB rating at 6.84, 9th in goals per match at 1.8, which is much better than Olaf's goals per match there. They're 15th in goals conceded per match at 1.6. Average possession, they're third. Their average possession is 56.3. So you may see a more possession-based team with under Critchley. You're also seeing second in clean sheets, tied for first with Town FC and Chattanooga with 4 clean sheets. You're 14th in shots on target per match at 4.9. You're 10th in big chances per match. 18th in big chances missed. So you're not missing a ton of chances. One thing that sticks out to me here, accurate long balls per match, they're first. Accurate crosses per match, they're first. They have done really well in touches in the opponent's box. They are third in the league in that. Successful tackles per match, they're first. You look at possession won in the final third per match, they're sixth. You also look at a thing like penalties conceded, they're 12th. They've only given up 2 penalties, so like they're being a little bit more disciplined. Accurate passes per match, they're 11th. So they're having possession, but you're seeing less passes, which is something completely opposite than Olaf. You were not having possession. You're having a ton of passes. So you may see a new system implemented where David Critsley is saying, you have the ball, don't pass it sideways, don't pass it back. If you have room, make a goddamn run. Make a run. Make something happen. Make a play here. He's let Mai Joer. He's let Brendan McSorley. He's let Caden Glover. He's let Tyson Pierce, Seth Antwi, Mickey Perez. He's let all of these guys, Gabriel McKenna even, like a defender. He's let these guys make runs and allowed them the freedom to do that all season. Imagine what Marcel Hartel, Cedric Teuchert, Xiao Klaus, Simon Betcher, Conrad Vollum, Chris Durkin, Tomas Totland, Henry Kessler even, Kyle Hebert, Jay Reed. Imagine what these guys can do with more freedom to make a run rather than passing it as the first idea. I think that's really going to help this team.
There's potential for it too. I mean, look, I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to kill the happiness because I can feel there's positive energy around the club because Olaf is gone. But I'm not going to start jumping to conclusions that we're all of a sudden contending for a playoff spot, that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's too many things I don't know, Charlie. I don't know how the players are going to respond. I don't know what system he's going to run. I don't know who's going to be fit enough to play in the system Critchley wants to run. How long is it going to take us to adapt to whatever that system is? Yes, are we going to possibly see guys in their normal spots where they probably should be? Probably. Is there potential for, as you mentioned, the creativity, that spark, that energy? Hell yes. Well, and will that be a welcome sight at Energizer Park on Saturday? Yes. But I'm just not. I think we said it last night on the Monday show with Mo and Derek Bauman, who was a gracious guest last night. How much does this change? We're all happy because Olaf is gone. We're happy because we feel vindicated. We feel like our leadership listened to us. That's why we're happy. But how much does it help the team? Big question mark for me. And how much, like I said, my big thing is you have 11 guys out of contract at the end of the season. You have a summer transfer window now with a potential caretaker boss. There are just so many questions around this team that is why I'm a little bit tempered. Like, yes, I'm happy we did this, but I'm just saying caution at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this to MG here. Same underperforming players with the same injuries. I mean, that's fair. The underperformance can be attributed to the players, but also the system. I think it'll be a fresh and a taste of fresh air almost. Also, talking about the injuries, theirs could be attributed to the training. I don't know, the type of training that Olaf implemented. Because you look, I mean, the injuries before Olaf came were like almost none in practice, right? You were getting almost no injuries in training. And then you come in, Roman Berkey, broken hand. Giannis Horn injured in training twice. Tomas Totland injured in training. Kenneth Kessler injured in training. Durkin injured in training. You have guys like Rasmus Alm still not coming back to 100%. Like, so much stuff happened. It was really, really weird. But the way I see it here, Ryan, I just talked about it. City 2 was amazing at possessing the ball in the final third. They're first in crosses, accurate crosses per match at 6.3, and they're first in accurate long balls. So you're talking about, and they also have better possession numbers, and they less passing numbers. So you're talking about guys not just when they're getting the ball saying, "I'm going to go right back to you." They're saying, you might be able to get a system that's talking about like possessing the ball. You're saying if you have the chance, if you have an open lane, rather than passing it back and stagnating in your own zone, right, in your own half, why do that when you could make a run and go to try to score a goal? Okay, David Critsley may not be the perfect manager, but the way City 2 is played is exciting soccer. And soccer that gets butts in seats, unless you're in the supporter section, right? Because you're not sitting down for any time over there. I'm saying that I think it's a breath of fresh air to get a coach that may encourage playmaking. Because imagine a guy like Marcel Hartel having that freedom to go and just make a play rather than being forced or pressured to just stagnate in the midfield. You talked about when he's at his best, he's floating up, right? Imagine the freedom he'll get from Critchley and from these guys, because you're not coming in with a blank slate here. You're coming in knowing you've played horrible, and your playoff spot that you've promised to the fans in December as the owners, as Lutz, as Diego, and as Olaf, like that spot is quickly dwindling. You're watching the door and the chances to your playoffs come to a close very quickly over that 11-game winning streak, and it is barely cracked now. You have almost nothing to lose. At this point, if the season is basically over, I'm going to say it. The season is basically over. The chances of City SC making the playoffs is pretty low. But if they do, they have almost nothing to lose. Because think about it. If Critchley plays bad, they probably put him back in City 2 because he's done well, right? This is a time to just get creative with stuff. You now have a fresh freedom to be able to do something and to try to implement your own system. And if it works, then damn, this team can be good. Because on paper, this team is pretty damn good, in my opinion.
So there's, like you said, there's potential when healthy in this team. Talking about, here's one thing. So you just mentioned possession. They're third with like 56% possession in Next Pro. I don't yes, that's much higher than what we see with the first team, but I don't think this team we're still not going to become a possession-based team. If you go back and listen to what Olaf has said, or not Olaf, what Lutz has said, and what Diego has said, is we're not a possession-based team. We want to be a high press, high energy, attacking minded, direct to goal team. And so I don't even know, the one thing you mentioned with possession too, and City 2 being third in the league in touches in the opponent's box. I don't know how much we're going to see. If it's going to be a direct to goal, what we're going to see, because is it going to be a direct to goal, Charlie? Is it going to be, we just look to counter, or is it going to be truly, as you were, kind of saying, do we start to touch the ball more in the final third? Do we start to link passes together? Because
I'll say this. I want to see Mai Joer with the first team, especially with Critchley coming on. Mai Joer should be getting minutes with the first team here. What else do you want from him, Jeremy? He scored 4 goals for
okay,
FC.
two of them were penalties. So first of all, second of all, no. Here's my problem. I love Mai. He's got all the potential in the world. My thing is this: you now have a caretaker manager. Throwing Mai Joer does no service to him into this team right now. We have more important things to do, whether you consider the season a wash or not, with 11 guys who are out of contract. We have decisions to make. And to me, if you're not, unless you're going to play Mai every single game and give him true meaningful minutes, how does that help his growth and development?
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think that plays into my idea of just having that freedom to try things. Because now you feel a lack of pressure, in my opinion, because the season, you're not coming in with high expectations.
Okay. So hold on. Let's just hypothetically, right? What are I haven't looked at the conference standings today. We are 8 points out of the 9th spot right now. That is basically 3 games. You go on a 3-game winning streak, you're right back in the playoffs, right? Or potentially, depending on what the teams in front of you do.
Yeah.
So the season, here's what I think. I think, to your point, it is an opportunity to try things. If we get 4 or 5 games down the road and we're still in this spot, at that point, then it's a wash. Then you try it. But for now, I don't think the team's resigned itself to saying we're out of this just yet. I'm sure Lutz and Diego haven't, based on their comments in the article announcing the firing.
Yeah, and one thing I think is kind of encouraging for me is that, or kind of encouraging and kind of not. Critchley's squad has either been really good or they've been really bad. Okay, City 2 is tied for the league in clean sheets, but they've also given up. They're also in the bottom half of the league in goals allowed. So you see them losing 4-0 to the Town FC and then winning 6-3 versus Portland just 2 weeks later. So this may be a team, and this could just be the young guys trying to settle into something, or it could just be the way that David may coach. But it could be a kind of wavering, you never know what you're going to get kind of style. But at least with that, you have an upside. Because when you never knew what you're going to get with Olaf, you're either going to get a 1-1 tie or a 1-1 draw or a 0-0 draw, or you're going to lose by 4, right? Yep. That was what you're going to get night in and night out. You just didn't know which one you were going to get. You didn't know if you're going to get 1 point or none. With Critchley, it feels like you're going to get 3 or none. And I think that's a little bit better, in my opinion, just because you have that idea that he can consistently get 3 points because he's proven it in his coaching style.
Again, you're not. I can't argue with you because yes, he's done it at that level, but I'm just hesitant because this is a step up. This will be the highest level that he has coached at.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. And I hate to say it. he's proven he's good at motivating the kids. By and large, our roster, they're not kids. Can he motivate them? Can he get to them? I mean, you hear stories, not to get crazy in the weeds about it, but in the NFL of college coaches that can't cut it in the NFL. Why? Because they don't know how to motivate players. They don't know how to connect and speak with adults. That was one of the knocks on Nick Saban when he left Alabama for the Miami Dolphins. He couldn't figure out how to get through to these players. Can he do that here in terms of Critchley with the first team? I hope so. But and it's just curious to see how Hack with at City 2. I believe his son still plays for City 2.
He does. Ryan Hackworth, I believe.
Is it Lucas? I thought it was Lucas.
Is it Luke? My bad. I'm thinking of Ryan Betcher. Sorry.
Ryan Betcher. Yeah. But that's but here's a question I do have, and you may have already talked to it before I was able to jump on with you. Does the timing of this seem strange coming out so late in the day to you?
Oh yeah, especially it's so weird.
They let him do training. He went through the post-training media scrum like it was kind of status quo. I was resigned to the fact that I guess we're going to see what happens after San Jose.
Yeah. Did he resign? That's my question. Did he say I want to be done?
Well, so the one
because you could say you fired him, but that doesn't mean. I mean, you could say you fire a guy when he really wanted to leave.
I'm gonna say that this is mutual consent, and the reason I'm saying that, the headline, it doesn't read Melberg sacked, it doesn't mean Melberg dismissed, it doesn't say terminated. St. Louis City SC releases head coach Olaf Melberg. So it sounds like it's a situation where they reached mutual consent, which, by the way, might mean a fancy word for buyout, because they probably had to come to some financial terms to let him out of his contract. Yeah. And with yesterday being a banking holiday, maybe that's just the problem, is it took this long to get all of those things done. And maybe the club had to say, you know what? And here's the one thing I will say, if he knew he was getting the sack when this was all said and done, he is a good soldier than going out to the cameras and continuing on, and doing that. That will serve him well. I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know what the future looks like for Olaf. Can he go back and coach in Sweden where he's had success?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Real quick, Critchley was at practice. He was observing through practice, and Tom Timmerman put out a quote. He said to someone next to him, he could be the next guy up. Something of that sort. I don't have the exact quote with me, but he said something of that sort to someone next to him. Allegedly, that's what he posted. But David was at the practice, lingering around, watching. And a lot of the guys who have had rehab stints or have played for City 2 already know him. So Jay Reed will know him. Chris Durkin will know him. I'm trying to think of the guy who have rehab stints. Leuven will know him because he just played a game with him. He played a match with him on last Friday. You'll see guys like Rasmus Alm getting to know him. Rehab stints usually aren't super likely for guys like Roman Berkey or Shao Klaus. You usually don't see rehab stints. You just see him play like 30 minutes in the game. Yep. So, I mean, a lot of these guys that you're looking at younger, I mean, I think Totland has had a couple games on City 2, I think first year maybe. But I don't know. I think that'll be interesting to see how he connects with the team and how he can carry himself. I think it's an important thing with that. And that's something we'll see with time. And I think that's something we'll see with how they play on Saturday at 1:30 at Energizer Park. So at home, we got to hope the fans are invigorated and a little bit of, usually you get a little bit of bump, a little pep in your step, a little buzz and a little bit of momentum after you make this kind of move. Like the first game that Hackworth played, I'm pretty sure they won. But you got to hope that you get that kind of spark and you start to get 3 points consistently, because that's what this team needs right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be you get the new coach bounce, right? You get that spark. I just optically, man, it does feel a little bit unprofessional. I think Derek, I'm just looking at a text from Derek Bellman, who was on last night, mentioned, I keep throwing money at this club to behave so unprofessionally, but at least I'm finally entertained. Isn't that terrible that this is the moment of entertainment for this? That's how far we've sunk. But, if one good thing has come from this, in my mind, as much as it sucks, at least we're getting to the point now where it feels like this is the shifting point of, we're not just happy to have a team. Now we can be critical, right? We've entered that realm of it's fair to hold teams accountable, to hold them to expectations, I think. And that's what I think is one of the big takeaways too, is just that shift in landscape around the club from a media perspective, because before this season, I don't know that I heard a lot of people, podcasters, radio show hosts, writers for the Post, going at the club and saying, we need better, we deserve better. I mean, a year ago, I don't think you would have heard Tom Timmerman on the Big 550 like he was last weekend, criticizing the team openly.
No, you wouldn't have, no.
And so that, to me, that's a big win off the field, in my opinion, because that's what's going to push this team in a way forward. Will it get them to open their pocketbooks? Maybe not. But at least they know that the honeymoon phase is over. And as Ryan said in the chat, it's time to have some scrutiny. And I'm going to go out and build on it and say it's more than just on the attack, in my opinion. We've honestly, is Lutz next? I mean, I hate to go there, but
I mean, yeah. So you look at the tracker. I was just about to get into that real quick. I'm going to say for Sunday, I do feel a little bit optimistic because you do have guys Totland, Leuven, Kessler, and Horn are like speculated. So Kessler, Leuven, and Totland are back. Horn was running on the side, so he may be back. But those four guys will be instrumental to having your best 11 out there, especially Leuven, I think, and your set pieces will be instrumental. Not just because Hartel's been lackluster at the corners, because you also want Hartel receiving a corner, in my opinion. But having Totland back as a consistent wing back, maybe not starting Watts, will be, I think, beneficial because he's been so good when he's healthy, Totland. And then Kessler, of course, you could maybe think about benching Yarrow and going with Baumgartel, Hebert, Totland, and Kessler as your back four. Or you could go something like Horn, Kessler, Baumgartel, Totland, or you could say Totland's going to come out as a sub in the 45th and have Hebert play 45 as the right left back, the right back. There's a lot of things you could go with, and I'm excited to see what kind of lineup David puts out on Saturday. Pardon me. Just a couple days away now. I'll be out of school officially. 2 days of school left, dude. Jeremy, I don't know if you saw my post. I flunked my science final. I got a 60 on it, man. I did bad. You know what my final grade
How
is
do you
in
do
science?
worse in science than Olaf did at winning games?
Shut up. Okay, how did Man United do versus Tottenham? Jeez.
Charlie sacked in the morning.
Okay, chill out.
No, I'm kidding. I'm giving you trouble. No, that's fair. Tottenham, yeah. Talk all the crap.
So my final grade in that class is an 80.07.
Oh, well, so then you still beat Olaf.
Just barely got a B. I was so happy. I was so happy.
Olaf.
I was so happy, yeah.
The only thing that
was 80.07 with Olaf was his passing percentage.
Was it really that high?
It was. Are
we talking? Maybe his backwards passing percentage.
Yeah.
Look, I will. Okay, so here's the thing. I will say this. Like on a limited level, at least, I don't know that Olaf's a bad coach, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he got into a league that he may have not just been prepared to be in. I don't think he understood all of the things about this club and the play style. And I just don't think he was ready to make the leap. The one question for you too is I just kind of was rereading through the comments of Diego. He talks about returning to our DNA and the things that make this St. Louis and St. Louis style.
What I think about that is physicality. St. Louis style soccer would be physical, kind of rough and tumble. That's what I think when I think St. Louis style soccer.
Does it hang on. Does it to you? Does this shock you, or does this make you think the hire was more Diego than it was Lutz? Do you start to have that conversation on who made that pick? Who was the final stamp of approval based on comments there?
That's Diego talking about returning to the DNA. That makes you think that Diego was not fond of him. Talking about returning to the DNA of St. Louis, talking about that Olaf strayed. That would insinuate that Olaf strayed from the DNA of St. Louis soccer. That to me makes me think that Diego was not extremely fond or was not instrumental. I mean, look at the guy who has the European connections. It's Lutz Vattensteel. And I think you got into talking about Lutz being on the hot seat. Maybe I think when you talk about the next coach you hire, and if this is a 3-4 game stint for Critchley, that next coach you hire, if that coach doesn't work out, and that can you get another one next season, Lutz will not be the sporting director. If you swing and miss on 3 coaches, you're not going to stay.
So, and I'm hopeful that we get to see Oscar join here shortly.
I'll actually be heading out shortly, so he'll take my spot.
Okay, cool. We'll rotate. I this is probably something I'll revisit with him too. What are the expectations at this point then? So you're bringing in a guy, caretaker, manager, interim manager, whatever you want to call him. What are the expectations? Where do you expect this team to be at, a month from now or 2 months from now?
My expectation is exciting soccer. David Critsley has shown that when he coaches, exciting soccer happens. City 2 was exciting to watch. City 2 is exciting to watch. I've liked watching the City 2 games more than I've liked watching the City games, just because I get to go down the lower bowl and kind of work from there. It's a cool view. But I've really enjoyed watching City 2 this season. And it's exciting soccer. You never know what you're going to get. And I think that's something that even if you're not getting super, super amazing results, the thing is, even if Olaf kind of sucked, but he was still it was like the most back and forth exciting soccer you've ever seen. I think people wouldn't have called for his firing as much, but the fact that they were watching such boring, sleep-inducing soccer was one of the facts that they didn't like him for. Because if you're going to play boring soccer, you better be winning that soccer, or else your fans are not going to like you. So I think I'm looking for exciting soccer, because I don't know if Critchley's going to win. I know Critchley's a great MLS expert coach. I don't know if he'll be a great MLS coach. I hope he will be. And honestly, I think he may be. But I'm just hoping for exciting soccer. And at that note, I'm going to head out. Jeremy, I'll let you stay by yourself, and then Oscar will come in, I think. But I just wanted to tap in with you guys and let you know what's happening, talk with you guys, see your guys' thoughts, because it's a very, very odd situation. Very, very odd situation. So thank you guys. Have a good one. I'll be on Thursday to do a pregame for Saturday because I'm occupied Friday, and I think that's a little too close. They usually do the pregame press conferences 2 days before the game, so I might as well do it right after the press conference. But we'll see who can get there. Oscar just showed up, so I'll switch places with him. Have a good one, y'all.
Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Oscar, welcome on, man. How you doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing.
Hey, man, are you happy? What's your thoughts on the sacking or dismissal or I don't know even what the word is. They used what's the word they used? Release. The release of Olaf Melberg.
Right. I mean, we asked for it, so I think it's good that they did something. At the same time, I don't like the way that they did it, but I mean, we take one win at a time, right?
Yeah. Is it just the timing or the letting him go out in the press this afternoon? What is it for you that doesn't sit right? What don't you like?
I mean, letting him go today after a full day of training, press conference. At the end of the day, you knew you were doing this, so I think something's not sitting well in the managerial perspective in City. I mean, Diego and Lutz should know what they were gonna do. Why are you waiting until he runs a training, he gets a press conference? So I do understand. I think that's kind of rude towards the coach to Olaf, and it's a little unprofessional in that end. And I think it comes to that they did the same thing with Carnell. I think it was the same process. They did the same thing, and I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's human. Olaf is human. I know we criticize him a lot as the coach, but at the same time, you don't treat a person like that. I don't think that's good on that end.
No, I agree. I would have almost preferred this just be the first piece of business tomorrow, right? That looks better optically rather than doing it today. Although at that point, if you knew they were doing it after the holiday, do it first thing this morning before training.
Yeah. Like what do you have him training? I mean, I don't see the point. First of all, like, I mean, if you're gonna fire the coach, what's the point of having training with the coach that you're gonna fire?
Mm-hmm.
Just move on with it. Just communicate the first thing in the morning to all of them, say, hey, don't show up to work. And then have the CD2 coach say, like, hey, you take care of the practice starting today.
Well, either that or just delayed the start of training. I mean, they've delayed the start of press conferences for how long? Clearly, they have the ability to manipulate their own schedule, right?
Yeah. I do. That doesn't sit well with me. I mean, obviously, the news are what many of us ask, and with respect of Olaf, obviously, like I said, is a person. He deserves to be treated with respect. He was not performing well, and that's why we were all asking for some changes. But yeah, I mean, the not having, I mean, you knew after the game that you were gonna fire him.
Yeah. 100%.
There's no way Diego and Lutz didn't know. What it doesn't sit well with me also is reading the article that they posted. It's pretty much the same thing that they said when Cornell was fired too. So we made the mistake. We came back around and with the same errors. The team is not recognizing why this went in a loop, why it exactly came around, and they even expressed it the same way. Losing the style of play, you knew who you were hiring. So I think in that perspective, like, Lutz, check on yourself, because you're saying that he was not respecting the style of play, but you guys were the ones who brought him in. So
yeah, him and Diego need to look in the mirror. They're next. Their seats have to be at least lukewarm, so mildly warm at this point. Because to your point, we're just repeating the same things. I do wonder if I want to ask you this, because I was talking to Charlie about it a little bit ago. The words caretaker manager, does that mean anything different to you? I mean, I'm thinking about what I know as a United fan. Normally, caretaker is that shorter 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 game stint. What do you see it as? Do you see Critchley as the guy that's going to finish out the season? Do you think he's got the job while we figure out the long-term solution? What do you think there?
I mean, this is what I was afraid of, and I was scared that it would happen. And it was that they didn't have a clear path for the next step. Because if you came along the same process that you went through Cornell, and you made mistakes of, not that Hackworth was a mistake, but at the same time, like, it was a mistake of keeping them for so long without finding a coach. Because last year you could have had that waste of a season with a new coach preparing for the following season and getting all that set up. There was nothing else to lose. It was a scratch season to work it out with the new coach, but find one quick, not 6 months later. And what I don't want is that they do it again. So I hope that the caretaker part is more of like, we're gonna do 2 games, 3 games max. We're gonna have someone in. I hope you don't want to have an interim or a caretaker coach that is gonna take the entire season, because that's not gonna, unless your plan is to keep him. But I do like the way that CD2 plays, but also I know what the CD2 level is on the MLS Pro. That is a Division 3 team.
Yeah.
So can he bring that up? Who knows? But if they're not planning, let's just do it quick. Let's do it quick. Like, find a coach with experience in MLS. It has to have experience with the MLS. You cannot bring another rookie that doesn't know the rules, doesn't know how the transfer window works, how the GAM, TAM, all that junk works, and all the loan process and all that, because we're just gonna waste time.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. My thought was that if he didn't get sacked before the training stuff today, I thought that was just an indication that they don't have a good plan in place. And that was the reason he was being kept, is because they don't have a plan. And then is this the backup, right? Having a caretaker. I'm 100% with you on that. It's a major concern. I mean, especially given the fact that if you remember, that's what they said last year, right? Olaf was the guy they brought in after giving Hack like 18, 19, 20 games and all winter before bringing in Olaf. So I do we have more faith? Do we have more faith that they'll get it right if they rush or if they take their time, or is there just no faith in them to get the right guy?
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be rushed. I mean, you see this coming. How many weeks we have been in this path, right? So if you're an organization that is prepared to do what it takes to be successful, then you have some coaches on your back end. You know, like you have someone that is saying like, hey, maybe we can start evaluating what could come and help your team. Comes from the coaches, comes from the players, staff, whatever it needs. You always have to be evaluating and finding what's missing or what could be replaced and what will replace it. So we haven't won since March 15 or something.
Yep.
So it's almost
exactly
a full 2 months. So at least you have a month where you can see this come and say, hey, he's not improving. Nothing's getting better. Because we have not been a successful team since February 1st game. So you have all that time saying, well, we sorry, my
You're
kid
okay.
wants Chase car. I don't know, Baba. Go find it. Okay, go find it. So yeah, you see something coming, right? You have to be prepared, and I hope they do have 2-3 coaches that they're ready for them to ask them. I'm not saying that the coaches are ready to come, because that's unrealistic. You cannot have a coach on the string say, hey, if something happens, here, I'll pull you in.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're not going to work that way. But at least 2 in your folder and say, 2 or 3 in your folder and say, we're bringing these guys, we're going to ask them. And it's funny to me because I never heard the process of hiring a coach the way that they did with Olaf. I never heard, oh, we had thousands or hundreds of interviews or folders and resumes or what. Like, I never heard that. I've heard of, you contact the agent and say like, hey, we'll be this coach interested on be part of our team, and then agent and coach make their conversations. These are my terms. These are my ways. Do you want to hire me or not? Done.
Yeah.
Not interviews. I never heard that.
Me either. It's a very strange evaluation process. Real quick, a bit of an interesting twist just reported by Tom Timmerman from the Post-Dispatch. He's reporting that as Rudin Valentic, the assistant coach that Olaf brought with him from Sweden, was not at training today, was told that he was, quote, no longer with the club for personal reasons. This was before Olaf was released early or later in the day. So I guess the wrinkle, that the thought in my brain there is, was that part of the conversation that led to Olaf maybe he asked out. I don't know, because, he brought Rudin with him. And if you're letting his number one go, is he a guy that's going to say, you know what, let's both cut our ties and go at that point?
Yeah.
But it's an interesting
I mean, that's
story.
very cowardly. If that's really true, that's just being cowards as an organization, because what the assistant coach has to be with it? Why it has to be the first one, the first head rolling?
Yeah. Well,
that's very intriguing.
Yeah, but and honestly, you're right. What is that going to do if you get rid of Valentic? What is that going to do for this team? It's not a spark. So I don't know. What are your expectations not only for Saturday but for moving forward? I mean, does this change the outlook on the season for you?
I mean, at least for the first game, I think we will get the normal boost of a new coach, or we fire the coach. I do like how CD2 plays. So maybe he can bring a little bit of that quick passing, a little more dynamic play. into them, and especially because the players are gonna want to show that, hey, we're, like always we say, it's not us, it was the coach. So the players are gonna run twice as much as they did the previous games. It's not a right away solution, and I mean San Jose is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They have strong forwards, and we still have issues in the back. Whatever we have, even if we're healthy or not, like we still gonna have issues if we continue carrying on what we were doing. But hey, he might come and say straight up, we're gonna change to a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So that could help us, because that's what we've been asking for. Changing the system to use the players in the best ways possible.
Yeah, and we have. I think the only thing that makes me nervous about a system change with a 4 in the back is, are we good enough to defend with a 4 in the back? You know, that's the part I don't know. I mean, I'm all for it. Play a 4-3-3, but if you're playing a 4-3-3, and it looks like Drew Young from Utes Media is in our chat reporting that Valentich asked out for personal reasons, confirming that story from Tom Timmerman. So we do have confirmation now from a couple sources on that. So, but in any event, it makes me nervous. So I'm very curious to see, especially, Charlie was mentioning that Critchley was at first team training today, but how much of his system can he implement in 3-4 days? Right. That's why I'm not sure maybe we do see a slight difference. I don't know if it's going to be 3 in the back, but I don't think it's going to be a night and day difference necessarily.
I mean, if he changes the system, we will see a completely different team. I'll tell you,
think
like
so?
attitude wise, I think, because the system was what he was telling us. We were trapped in a 3-4-2-1 that it turned into a 5-2-2-1 or whatever it was. So I think we were trapped on that system. If he comes and just switches everything around, I'm not concerned about being able to defend or not. I think in that perspective, we will defend better with a 4. I'm trying to look at the past games of City 2. Has played some games with 4 in the back, has played some with 3 in the back, apparently. But mostly it seems like he plays a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
that's mostly what he wants to do. And I think we have the names, especially because we're so short on center backs, that we can actually implement a little better a 4 in the back. I mean, we can have Watts on the right if needed, Timo and Hubert, or Jaro, and then Hubert as a left back, or Wallim as a left back possibly, or if Reed's good enough now, then healthy wise, then Reed can go on the left, and then we solve the problems there, and we go to a little bit higher level on the attacking side.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reaching out to see if we expect to hear from anybody in terms of Lutz or Diego at all in the next day or so.
I mean, I would expect they will go into a press tomorrow morning, but I doubt they're gonna announce it. They're just gonna go and say, "Hey, we're having one in the morning," like maybe 20 minutes before they have it, because that's how they work. But also, I mean, my biggest issue right now is like, who is evaluating Lutz? I don't care that much about Diego at this moment, because I know everybody is getting into Diego has been the one like approving the hirings and but Lutz brings the people. Diego doesn't go and finds them. Diego is the one who says, okay. But you know what happens with Diego? If Lutz comes in, and Lutz has been here since day one, Lutz has the upper hand right now in all soccer business for City. Whatever Lutz says, most likely is whatever Lutz gonna have and do, right?
Yep.
So I'm not that concerned with Diego, and I could be wrong, but I'm not concerned about Diego because Diego can only refute so much. I will say, is I dislike something, but at the end of the day, Lutz is the one bringing this stuff because. So that's the problem. That's the base of our problem is bringing all these wrong pieces. We have brought bad players, injury-prone players. Players don't want to play here. Players have not participated in playing, and we hire them since day one. Then we obviously hire the wrong coach.
Yeah.
So who is taking that upper level and say, hey, we got to evaluate who is bringing these pieces? Because we can keep blaming the coaches and blaming the coaches, blame the players, but who's bringing, who is solving, who's puzzling, who's gluing all this together?
No, 100% with you on that. And I do, just for the folks who haven't joined, if you're joining, thanks. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things as always, as we talk about the dismissal, the release of Olaf Melberg by St. Louis City SC this evening. I do want to real quickly just show you the if I can get technology to cooperate with me here shortly, is I do want to share the quotes that we had from from Lutz rather, and from Diego when it comes to the dismissal of Olaf this evening. And technology is not being my friend at the moment, so give me just a second and I will get those shared for you, because I do think folks probably want to know what the people in charge have to say as we work through this evening. And yeah, and so I do have Lutz is ready to go, I believe. Give me just a second to see if that will
showing?
Cooperate here. So
is this
I'm
showing
pulling,
you?
I just uploaded it on the thing, and it says it's like, I guess, behind the scenes. I don't know if it'll let me present it, but it says it's in the studio. I don't know if you see it, Oscar. I know I don't. No. I can edit it. Oh, okay. Well, nonetheless,
I think we need either Charlie or Mo to bring it up to the.
Yeah, that's all right. That's fine. No big deal. So then I'll just read it off. Then Lutz shortly, after the announcement was made, said, quote, "The decision to part ways with Olaf goes beyond just results. We've analyzed the team's performance across a number of factors, including the need to execute against a style of play that led to the team's initial success and has been a part of our DNA for 4 years. As a club, we have certain standards we need to meet and believe a coaching change was necessary to improve our overall performance and return to a winning culture. Our fans deserve a better performing team, and we intend to give them one." And I do have confirmation from the club. We will have a press conference with Diego and Lutz. More information coming on that in the morning. So do stay tuned to our socials. Charlie and I and Oscar, I'm sure, as we're able tomorrow during the workday and school day, we'll try to get as much out as we can. But yeah, there will be from the club confirmed by their communications department just now.
Yeah, I do really hope that tomorrow someone in the press has the courage to ask if they're looking at Lutz. Like, in some way, I mean, I'm not clever with the words. I'm not clever to be very respectful in the way, but it has to be someone to say, like, who's keeping you accountable? Because you're like, yes, you made the decision. You evaluated all this. Who is evaluating you?
Yeah. And I think you're 100% right. And and honestly, I almost think you could probably ask it in a way that is very simply, do you feel any pressure at this point? Like, how much pressure do you think you feel given the results of form, some of the results from the players you've put together, and now another managerial change? Diego Gigliani, the president and general manager, had this to say about the dismissal of Olaf Melberg, saying, quote, "We understood it would take time for Olaf to become acclimated to Major League Soccer and certainly acknowledged that injuries made his job difficult, but we simply could not continue down this path," end quote. So, there was other information in there. I think Diego also mentioned returning to the DNA of the club, playing a St. Louis style. I'm less concerned about that part of it because realistically, I don't care if you're playing a style that's St. Louis or not. I just care if the style is entertaining and it gets you wins. Clearly, what we've been doing for 4 months, 3 months, however long the season has been going on now, isn't either of those guys. And I think as the chat's calling out, what did they have to analyze? I don't know. You probably would have saw everything you need within the first few weeks. I mean, my goodness, since that game against Seattle where it was a win on a free kick, I don't know what else they've watched, because that game, if the free kick doesn't go in, it's probably a draw. We didn't generate any other offense, as MG said in the chat. And then, Lutz, another great mention here. He says, Lutz said adapting a new style or system takes time, and to give him 10 games. We did. And another big question, what is the identity? I have no idea.
Well, I mean, Melo brings that, I think, there, like adopting a new style. But then when you fire him, you say, we need to go back to our DNA as a club. Isn't that contradicting? Because you have a DNA, you have to have a style that's your DNA. That's the way that you want to play. So your new coach should not be adopting, or your club should not be adopting a new style because of the coach. The coach should match your DNA and what you're looking for.
And not only that, he should match the style, the guys on your roster. The roster should fit his play style as best as possible. Like, we understand there's going to be changes, right? So, and that's my biggest problem with this entire thing. Not once do I ever really feel like we matched what Olaf wanted us to do from a roster standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it brings the questioning of what they were thinking when they brought Olaf, because it never matched our idea, our style of play. It never matched the energy. Yes, it fixed a little bit the defense for the first 5 games. But then we're back to conceding for small mistakes and things like that. So what was the thought process bringing an ultra defensive coach that only wanted his ways?
Yep.
He didn't want to adapt one single thing to the players. He wanted the players to adapt to him. And that's a terrible coach. I mean, I'm sorry, but you have your pieces, your best players, and you're forcing them to do a lot of different things that they're not in their repertoire.
Yeah, no, and that I think my frustration is that if you wanted to play a defensive style or you were changing your style, I think you can't come out when the season starts and say we're building City 2.0 and then still say it's going to be the same or close to it, and then not have whatever you're doing match what you're saying, right? Like, that was my problem and has been my problem all season with this team. And I still hold true, or still hold firm to what my original comment was. One of the things I said on social media that I know a few people really got on me and said I was pretty stupid for the take, but it was, I thought the plan for Olaf was eventually going to be to transition into stay as a head coach for a year or two, but eventually, coming from Brommapojkarna, which had the largest academy in the world, or one of them, that he'd shift into that kind of a role, kind of a technical director or assistant to Lutz or something of that, to help the first team and the rest of the academy kind of match each other in terms of play style and performances and development. And that's what I thought. I thought that made much more sense given the track record that Olaf brought with him than coaching did, but he didn't last long enough to see any of that come to fruition. But as I told Charlie, I almost wonder if Olaf just got in over his head and just underestimated the challenges of the MLS.
Yeah. If the thing, like, I do agree with everything you're saying, especially because if he was so strong on the youth development stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but why you bring him as a head coach of a main team? If he's so good with young players, then bring him in that side. But that's not what we're looking for.
Nope.
We had grown-up players with experience because, I mean, yes, we're half of the Bundesliga too in our squad, but they're still professionals. They're still have been in the professional environment. They're grown up. They have experience. They have their personalities, and I just feel like in all this, you start losing the locker room. Even they don't say it or not, like you start losing your best talented players when you force him to do things that they don't like.
Yep.
Hartel, you haven't seen anything of him this year. His talent is being wasted. His attitude is only that cheer up, cheer up. He's not focused mentally on performing, in my opinion. And I don't know if you remember, but I mentioned this when, what was that game? The goal from Gressel, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
When Gressel ran by himself all the way to the box and scored very easy without anyone to be aware that he was even there. And I said, did you guys watch Silva's attitude? And you said, yeah. He was like, why he was not doing it? He was supposed to sprint. And I told you, because he didn't want to. He said, F no, I'm not doing this. That's not my style of playing. There's some things that there's players do sacrifice, but that's like a way to say it. That was excessive. And that's why he wanted it from every single player. You're forcing a natural attacker, to track back all the way to the box just because your system demands it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that started to click with a lot of the players saying, don't want that.
Drew, yeah, no. And one thought I just had, and I've kind of been thinking about it just now, because I talked earlier about how we have 11 players out of contract at the end of the season on the first team. So just roll with me and tell me if you think I'm crazy for thinking this way. So you have a coach who supposedly can develop young guys. You have 11 players on your senior roster who are going to be out of contract. Now, obviously, you're going to replace some of them, but would the potential goal have been get Olaf through this year and then next year start integrating your academy guys like a Joyner or a McSorley or a McKenna or those City 2 guys up and letting Olaf help develop them in the first team? Obviously, now I'm not saying that's a path to success because you don't want a team full of next pro players. But do we think with the roster turnover that's coming potentially that was part of the reason why Olaf was brought in? With that idea of a longer term development plan by integrating more of your academy guys in.
I mean, possible, but at the same time, we didn't see much of that happen, obviously, for the ruling and stuff that MLS has, but we didn't really see Olaf using these young players and say, hey, I'm going to start bringing you up, giving you chances. The only one was Joyner, and
right,
he maybe had 30 minutes in one game, 35 minutes in one game.
Yeah.
So that doesn't correlate with what you're saying. Like if your plan was bringing all these kids up and start developing in a professional environment, you didn't see it because they were just traveling and not playing. He brought Jaskelein in to Kansas City to just have him sit on the bench. He brought Silly just now to Minnesota to sit him on the bench. Just for exposure in the locker room. I mean, yeah, I'm sure the kids love it, but that doesn't improve your skill level of playing, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But you're 100% right. I'm thinking about. I just don't know what the plan was. Long term, it's hard to see what their ultimate plan was with Olaf from where we are now. It look the club it looks bad on the club to be rotating coaches, but I almost wonder if I wonder what the plan is from here. I'm reading just reaction from around the national MLS scape. Sasha Kleistin from Apple TV, his reaction: wow, Melberg doesn't last half a season in St. Louis, but do they have a plan? Roster building, coaching style never meshed. What's next?
You have to be realistic. I think that the next thing is you have to bring a coach with experience that turns this around, that will focus on winning, scoring goals, and winning, because this team it needs that. Don't worry about bringing the MLS 2 players up. Don't worry about creating a super fun, everybody's gonna love type of ball. Is be effective and win. And I see this as what San Jose just did with Bruce Arena, right? San Jose was tired of losing because they were dead last year. Say, what we're gonna do? We're gonna bring a coach with experience that is being recognized. He has been successful. He has won championships. And then we're going to correlate that with bringing three players that they're recognized as a good players in the MLS. And hey, they're not consistent. They do lose games. They sometimes they don't even create chances, having that firepower in the front. But still, it's better than what we're doing. They're still a successful team at this point. Like, they're out there, they're managing wins, they're playing, they're scoring goals. Chicho Arango is scoring 2-3 goals per game. Joseph Martinez is assisting, is scoring. So I think you cannot get out of, I think, the three guys that we have mentioned around in the chats. They never one is Savarese that we have mentioned. The other one, obviously, the Philadelphia one, Curtin, right?
Yep.
And I think like the two that I've mentioned, they're good coaches, but I don't think they have been very successful in the MLS arena. So I would not fully push for it. I think they're good coaches, but at the same time, I would not say, "Oh, you must bring this one." Because they did do MLS, or one did MLS, but it wasn't that good with San Jose, so they could.
The other two names I could think of are guys like Vinny Sartini, used to coach the Whitecaps, and this one I'm going to get flamed for even mentioning him, but he did have success for a long while. Is Peter Vermees from Kansas City? I'm not saying I want him, but if you're saying if you want a guy with a proven track record who can win in the MLS, Vermees didn't have a job in Sporting in Kansas for a decade plus for no reason. Not my first pick, but I mean, there are guys out there. Reading some other.
I mean, it's awful. It's awful to mention him because we don't like the match, right?
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the resume, I mean, he has done good things for Kansas City, and I think with technically a lot less than what City could provide if we decide to bring and spend some money. I think he could do a lot. Like, there's a huge environment in this, and including the youth development that he could explode because he has experience in all this. He has brought players up every year from their academy.
Yeah.
Kayla says that that's certainly one way to escalate the rivalry. Yes.
It
would hurt them very much, even when they just kick him out because they hated him for the last couple of years because the results were not there. But it will definitely spark something. And Cody, no, I do not want him, but I'm just saying it could lead to something good, even if we don't like the personality right now.
It's just kind of again going back onto some social media stuff, Oscar. I'm looking here. One of the guys, Will Bratton, St. Louis City Views, says, "Allow me to piss you off in saying that this was the absolute wrong decision by all for City." I'm puzzled by that. I don't know how unless you are in the camp that says you have to make yourself as an organization look organized, and so clinging on to something that clearly isn't working somehow saves face from like a professionalism standpoint. I don't know how firing Melberg is the wrong decision here. And Cody, explain, because how did I mess up Saban? He went from Alabama to the Dolphins and left because he couldn't coach at the professional level. I don't understand your comment, sir. Go ahead, Oscar. Oh, in college. All right, go ahead.
You guys are talking another language right now with me.
Oh, we were talking about college football. So
I know that, but I'm like, I cannot relate.
No. Before you joined, I was talking. Well, so I was asking Charlie before you joined if Critchley is coming. He's coached the U16s and the U17s. Can he motivate and get a message across to these grown adults, these professional players? That's what I asked Charlie, and Nick Saban got brought up because he's a guy that coached at college football from Alabama, went to Miami to coach in the NFL, failed miserably because he couldn't motivate and didn't know how to connect with grown adults. And that's why I asked that question to Charlie, and that's where the conversation with Cody comes in.
That another one that, I mean, he wasn't like extremely successful, but the one that just left Vancouver last year, what was it, Santini? Something like that.
Vanni Sartini.
Vanni Sartini. I mean, Vancouver is just because he was Vancouver, in my opinion, that he was not successful. Because they had not the best squad. I mean, they brought up a little bit this year, and obviously because Brian White is on fire. Obviously they're having a successful hint right now, but that's another that is available. I just did like a quick Google search and just that one popped to my head a little bit. So I don't know. There's options. I think they should not wait 2-3 months. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Where does the football go from here? Well, here's the question. What's the minimum? Like what would make you happy? Let's just hypothetically say playoffs are a dream. You're 8 points out right now. If you can't get playoffs, what's the minimum you have to see at this point? Just entertaining football goals?
I mean goals, yes, but we need to see the progress that we have not seen, that they told us since game 5.
Yep.
We're gonna see progress. We're gonna see developing. We're gonna see our system improving. We're gonna get dangerous. And we did not see that. So I think like the next 5-10 games are very key on, are we gonna start not just winning games, but like convincingly winning games.
Yeah.
Being dangerous, having people, having other teams being thrown off from what we do, getting exposed, getting pressure, getting like things like that. I mean, playoff right now is almost like a mission impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's mathematically you can still do it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't
Well,
think we should focus on that. I think we should focus on actually seeing that we're using our players the correct ways. We want to see Celio playing great, like having successful games. Silva bringing that speed up on the Lions. We want to see Torture scoring again and not being lack of confidence and missing the goals that he can score. Klaus being on the box and being able to be bringing that pressure, bringing that hunger. Hartel to being creative, to being playing that fun soccer, like things like that. That's what we want to see. Not everybody come and defend and try their best to block their shots and see if we can get a 0 in the back.
No, I'm with you there. I'm just trying to do some quick math here. So we've got 19 games left. That's a total of 57 points. On the table of things we could get. We're obviously not going to get all 57 points. We're sitting on 11 now. So if you say we need to get to 45 points, so we would need, what is that, 34 more points to get there?
Yeah, I believe 34 is right now the count.
So we would need 59.6% of the points left to get to that 45-point mark, which is over the last like 3 or 4 years of full seasons, the average of where 9th is in the table. So, I mean, you've got to get more than more than 2/3. You got to get more than half. It's hard now.
And it's like still like 63% of the points I think we got to get right now.
Yeah. And so, the one thing that will help, so if we can turn around form now, is so there are going to be a lot of teams later this summer that are facing fixture congestion because of Leagues Cup. We won't be having that problem. So there's going to be opportunity to make up ground. The key is to just not get that far out of reach. I'm not I'll be honest. I'm not optimistic we make the playoffs, but for me, I just want to see entertaining soccer with some wins. I don't expect to go light the world on fire, but that's what I want. Get me to, I don't know, get me away from the wooden spoon. Get me at least 6-7 wins on the season, so that'd be 4 or 5 more wins, and give me some entertaining games, and don't get blown out. At least be in the games, be competitive, and be trying. That's kind of where my floor is.
Yeah, I think a team should not get those games where you don't have chances to score, that you were definitely not the superior team, you were always defending. Like it shouldn't be that way. I mean, if you're playing, let's put it this way, like it happens a lot in Europe because the rules and the budget and the quality are so different between the top players and the top teams than the lower teams, right? And then you see the lower teams like just trying to defend because you're playing Man City, Barca, Real Madrid. Like that those teams are gonna dominate possession, they're gonna drill you with shots. I get that. But in MLS, technically the system of MLS is built to avoid that. That's why there's all the GAM, TAM, all that stuff to avoid that it's overcompensated. So you should not be playing games where you just defend. And both teams should have the same chances to win.
Yep.
That's what basically the MLS is. And like just going like through the calendar. So we're playing San Jose that before today was no, we're not gonna win. And then after today, there's a chance. So let's say we got the first 3 points in there. We go to Portland. Well, Portland has always been hard, but at the same time, we perform well there normally. So we could still do that. Comes Galaxy. Galaxy let's hope that they win a game before they face us, because they're due.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come to that point where Galaxy is without wins when we face them, because he might just go the wrong way.
Yeah. Kansas
but
did
we should beat them, right?
Yeah.
Orlando is playing very well, but they're also an unbalanced team. Houston, we should be better than Houston. RSL, Janelle, Portland back here. So I mean, there's possibilities. We don't have until August 23rd. Well, Nashville could be one forceful one, but August 23rd we play Vancouver away,
Mm-hmm.
and then September 27th we play LAFC here. The rest, it should be games that we compete to win.
Yeah, I might go back and say Orlando makes me a little nervous. I think they're first in the East right now, or close to the top in the East. So that's fair. But yeah, I don't see anything else other than that game and the Minnesota game. Maybe Minnesota here, just because Minnesota. Yeah, we could have beat Minnesota. So maybe.
I mean, Minnesota, we have to get that monkey out of our shoulders. You know.
Yeah. But LAFC, that's tough. I mean, it's doable, to your point.
Yeah. So Nashville, the biggest ones I think in that calendar is Nashville, Orlando. They're 3 and 4 in the East right now. Then Vancouver and LAFC. That's the ones that we have. Other than the rest, we should, at least the next 3 games, I think we should be competitive to the point what Melo is saying right there. We should get maybe 3 wins right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looks like a lot of people want Ryan says all gas, no brakes. Ryan also wants more direct and aggressive play, pressing, slanting the pitch, getting more field tilt, more control. Nobody wants to park the bus anymore. Aaron, why will this time be different? Are you talking about different as in like with the results in this new interim coach? Or are you talking long-term different in terms of us finding the right guy as the permanent coach? And do we think that this will be different?
Yeah. I mean, no, nothing's gonna really tell us if it's gonna be different or not. But one thing that I was gonna say is that Olaf didn't help himself with all the things that he did. But also you have to be very unlucky with all the things that just came around. Like coming 11, 12 games without a win, it's tough. It has to be really hard to do. And it just it just things came around that way, and it just forces to make decisions. At this point, you have to make the next step very strong step, like we keep saying. You can't just sit back and analyze everything. You gotta do the same. You can't do the same. You can't sit back and just wait until 6 months or something. Like, no, you just gotta make a decision and make sure that you're doing the right one, or like trying to do the right one in the ends that it matches what you're actually looking for, and not saying what we heard from Olaf: adaptive, young, development, multiple system, plan A, plan B, plan C, plan. No. Even if you have plan A and plan B, but make sure that the plan A and plan B are actually real, and that you can play one way or another way depending on what the games are.
Yeah. 100% on board and agree with what you just said. Looks like maybe you're getting a little bit of attention for being too positive at the moment, Oscar.
Yeah, normally apparently I have the fame of being the negative person, but I just like to be realistic. I I don't overhype people. I dislike a lot when people, because someone scores 2 goals or like performs well 2 games, they're like, oh, he's the best. Now he's an idol and everything. Like, no, I'm not that type. Just I hate idolizing players just because they perform well in once or twice. Like even like with Berkey, I'm like this. Like I'm like he has a lot of flaws that people, because he's Berkey, they don't want to say, or they don't want to see him, or they just don't see him because of his pretty face. I don't know, but for me, Berkey could be a legend in the team, in the history of the team, if he stays 2 more seasons and he wins something. But up to that point, no, I'm not idolizing anything.
That's fair. Uh-oh. MG in the chat. Should we talk about the TIFO now or later? Oh man. In all fairness,
No, I don't want to get in trouble.
No, look, in all fairness, I loved that TIFO, and I thought at the time it was a great call. I mean, it was a great reference to an iconic movie poster, and it was hopeful, right? We were in the period of A New Hope. And that's what the movie, that poster was, is the Star Wars A New Hope, and Olaf is who we had hope in, and it made sense. It just sucks it didn't work out. I think, I guess in a way too, this is the club proving that they weren't all talk with Carnell. Results matter, and they're going to hold people accountable. I think the next question, to your point earlier, Oscar, is when is it time to hold Lutz or Diego or both of them accountable? Like when does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, in my perspective, I would hope that we would have a new sporting director before the transfer window opens.
How do you think this whole situation, I mean, that notwithstanding, if Lutz is still in charge, how does this new manager situation impact the window in your mind?
So if we have a new coach by then, I hope they actually care of what he wants and not what Lutz wants. If Lutz still around. I just have a big issue, and it's not because I'm South American. It's not because he only brings, not because he's German or we bring German players. It's because he doesn't look anywhere else.
Yep.
And if you look around the MLS year after year, the winning teams or the competitive teams have always had a South American player, and not just a South American player on the roster, a key South American player in the roster, someone that brought them up there. 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 or 4, but someone that it has, like LAFC had Chicho.
Yep.
LA Galaxy just now, they had Ramirez, and I mean, obviously Ricky Pugh was the main European, but he's a quality player, right? Columbus had Cucho and Rossi, and you always look around and you're always gonna find one. Like when Portland was successful, Portland had 3 Colombians. So it just drives me bonkers because I think that a South American type of player, there you go, Daniel saying another great example, since it had Lucho.
Yep.
The South American players that they're not the top high players that they go to Europe, but the other type, they match very well with MLS.
Yeah.
They match very well. You always see, or not always, but most of the time you see them be successful and impactful in their teams. So I don't know why we continue this path of let's just bring German players that they're not even adapt to this. They're not suit well with the type of playing in the MLS. That yes, they're good. I mean, they have quality, but look, Lewin, putting away what his personal life has been, the first year he also got hurt half of the season.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we got Toyshirt got here and he got hurt the first 2 months of the season he was here. Like Leagues Cup and all that. Like it took forever to actually getting started. Hartel is kind of like being the exception where he came and was right away influential, but now look at him now, like a full season under the belt, he's not performing, he's not finding his rhythm, he's not finding his place. So I for me is there's so many players in around South America, Central America that could be impactful, and we just don't look at that market. So it drives me insane that he's not evaluated for that.
No, I agree. I think we do need to diversify the roster. I think we need to have more expressive players in the team, right? Like the players who will be creative, and not to take anything away from Aselio or even from Zande in the limited minutes he's been on, but those guys that aren't afraid to play with some flair or play with some attitude, right? Like that aggressiveness. We haven't seen a lot of that outside of those guys. And I would like to see more of it in this team more regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, another great point from Kayla. German players are not used to playing 102 degrees and 10,000% of humidity. So yeah, it's way different, the environment. And I mean, let's hope if Lutz states at least that they do the right things. Because I mean, there was, what was it, 3 weeks ago that there was a report that there was actually a scout in South America that completed some evaluation process or whatever. So if that's true and he actually bringing something for the next window, then by all means, let's see if Lutz actually can turn.
Absolutely. I mean, something's got to change. I think this is the first step, and hopefully getting us back where we want to be, right? Being competitive year in and year out in the West. It's kind of a shame it took as long as it did when the writing had been on the wall for as long as it was, but it's a first step, and we have a chance to build on Saturday. I don't know. I saw Mo in the chat. I don't know if he's going to jump on or not. I can't see if he's in the studio, but I don't know that I have a whole lot left to add to the conversation. Oscar, what's on your mind?
No, I think I wanted to just say a little bit of the TIFO comment that it was funny, and Mo, I think that's why he said, "Oh my gosh, he joined the dark side." But just for it, that's like a lesson learned, I would hope, for our fan base. Do not put players and coaches in something special for you as a fan base until they earn it. You know, like we can do comics and topics, movies, like anything like that, but don't put their faces of the players. Just do whatever, like just cartoons, whatever random face or you want to do it if you want to have that theme. There's many places, like in South America, I've seen TIFOs from Dragon Ball Z. I've seen TIFOs from like Naruto and all that stuff. So it just do it on your own. Like don't get on that pressure of like, oh well, you guys are so awesome, we're gonna put you in a TIFO now. Like earn it first.
No, 100%. I think the hard part with some of that stuff is I think we want to feel connected to our players, and maybe that's how we reflect that connectedness and reflect our favorites in a way. But 100% with you. I agree. I mean, heck, even thinking about TIFOs I've seen for United games. They don't do them very often, and normally, if they're player related, they're a player holding a trophy. So that's that you've got to set a standard for a performance at this point. So I 100% agree with you, Oscar.
Yeah, just set the tone, I guess. But yeah, I don't have much to do as well, and I do have to put my kids to bed because they're
all right.
Going
Thanks,
bonkers
Oscar.
over here. But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining. Obviously, it was the reactions. Obviously, it was important to address them, and I mean, let's hope for the best. Like Melo doesn't like it, but I'm gonna stay positive that this move is gonna go for good. And then hopefully we start playing well, and the main thing is start winning games. Let's bring some happiness to our fan base because we have been very depressed, to be honest. So hopefully we can celebrate on Saturday and scream some goals and actually be thankful for the players for coming around after the game after doing a good performance. So
Yep. And again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Again, impromptu reactionary press conference. We'll have more tomorrow. I don't know if we'll go live or not, but Charlie said he'd try, but there is going to be a press conference with Lutz and Diego set to address the media. We still don't have a time. There will be something coming out. We'll make sure to get some information out as we can on that. And then Charlie also said he wants to do a pregame later in the week, so stay tuned to our socials for that. But in the meantime, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. We continue to grow the channel, loving what we do, loving the interactiveness from all of you guys in the chat as well.
And join us if you, and obviously the street parties for the team supporters groups. Either you're going to Shoffley or you're going to Marquee to join the groups. Just join us on Saturday. I know it's gonna be an early game, so it might be a mimosas type of day or a brunch if anybody goes and needs their brunch and stuff. So yeah, come out, let's support, let's get back on track, let's get back on their back of these guys, and let's cheer them up. So like Melo said, vamos City.
Yes, let's go. Vamos City.
Peace out.